The idea that the European Union might disintegrate, I think it's one that we can put to the side for now. Because if anything, one thing that Brexit has proven is that, on the one hand, I think it would be appropriate to suggest that the European Union needs to work on itself, that the European Union possibly is in crisis. And we can make this argument on the basis of the fact that there are several countries within the European Union that have been accused of some level of democratic backsliding. That means that they are acting against the interests that we assume to be those of a democratic society. And I would name countries like Hungary, for example, perhaps to a certain extent, Poland. And I think that as long as these countries are within the European Union, and I think they have every intention of staying within the European Union, and those that represent them, we do have, there should be concerns that the EU might not be living up to the promises that it's made for itself and assumptions around democracy and integration that it has. Now, the extent to which this might then lead to a breakup of the EU, I'm skeptical about, because if anything, one of the things that we saw happening in the immediate aftermath of Brexit is sort of the rallying of countries, but also the rallying of European institutions. Brexit was, of course, always a possibility. If it wasn't, we would not have had a referendum in the United Kingdom. But I think most Europeanists would argue that it was very much a disappointment, and it was, given how close the vote was, the referendum result was, many kind of hoped and expected that, it would be marginal, but that the UK would stay. And I think the referendum has very much been a wake-up call for the European Union. And I think for that reason, there is more effort on the part of the institutions and the part of the Commission, but also on the part of member states to ensure integration within the now existing 27, but also more work being done at the supranational level to ensure that we do not see a case like the UK's anytime soon. At the same time, there are now efforts to rethink what integration could mean within the European Union. The idea of differentiated integration, that not all countries will be at the same level of integration within the EU as each other, and that there might be scope for sort of rethinking where different countries are at. Now, this is still unresolved, but this is certainly an argument that is being made by scholars, but also by policymakers within the European institution.